Hello everybody, it's Sarah, and today I'm going to talk to you about the books that I read in July. And I have to tell you, July so far was by far the worst reading month that I had in 2022. To be honest, it was probably one of the worst reading months that I had in the past few years in general. I had an average rating under 3 stars. I read a total of 4 books only, one of which I gave 1 star, 2 I gave 2.5 stars, and 1 I gave 3 stars. So that makes an average of, I don't know, 2 point something. And yeah, it was a bad time. It was not a good time. I hated it. So bad. So because of that, let me just get very quickly through the book so I can put July behind me, because I don't have to linger on horrible reading. I just want to get into great reading, be excited for the books that are coming out in August, and so on. So yeah, we can get right into it, because I do not have any rereads that I have to talk about for July. I didn't reread anything, or I didn't finish any rereads. And so let's start with the worst rated book for July, which was Malice by Heather Walter, which I gave 1 star. I actually am gonna try to not talk too long about this, because I do want to film a whole rant about it, because, you know, it's been a while since I filmed the rant. I need to let off some aggression that I have built towards this book, so I'm gonna film the whole rant. But for this one, let me just give you a few pointers of why I hated this book. First of all, the marketing. In a way, this is marketed as a Sleeping Beauty retelling or reimagining, which technically is true, I guess. You have this queendom, Briar, and all the princesses within this queendom have been cursed. If they don't find their true love by the time they turn 21, they will die. Now our main character Alice has magic powers, and she has the same type of magic powers as the person who cursed the princesses of the queendom. Because of that, she has been hated all her life. Now, just shortly before the 21st birthday of the princess Aurora, Alice meets Aurora, and the two of them fall in love, and Alice wants to try and help Aurora break the curse that's on her. Now, the reason why I hated it because of the marketing is because this was marketed as an enemies to lovers, which it absolutely is not. There's not even a second of dislike or animosity between the two main characters, which is just weird, but I'll get into that in my rant. And then also, Alice is not really a villain, like, at all, at least not within this book. There's some things, you know, where you can discuss whether or not she's turning into a villain by the end of the book, but I'm not gonna go into that. Also, this book is just really badly written. It's supposedly adult, but it reads like a very badly written YA. Absolutely hated it. Also, it was written in first person present tense. Who writes in first person present tense unless you want to write like an artsy-fartsy type of book? Like, it reads really bad. The characters are horrible. There's so many issues I have with the logic of the story, and it's just, I hated it. I hated it so much, and so yeah, I will leave the rest for my rant. Then next I have a book that I at least somewhat enjoyed a little bit more. Although, I wouldn't say I enjoyed it, but, you know, I didn't actively hate it at least. I was indifferent towards it. And that was The Goblin Emperor by Catherine Addison. This was the buddy read for my book club of Queens, Witches and Valkyries, where I read 1 adult high fantasy book written by a woman or genderqueer person per month. If you're interested in joining us, in August we're reading The Final Strife by Sara El Arifi? One or the other. And so the Discord, if you want to join us, is linked down below. However, this buddy read for July was the first buddy read for my book club where I just really didn't get along with the book. Usually there were some times where maybe I didn't connect 100% to the book, but I still generally enjoyed the books. This one, however, I just was bored throughout. I did not care about the characters, but first, once again, let's talk about what this is about. This is about Maya, who is kind of the unwanted get of the Elven King. The reason for that is because he is half goblin. However, after his father and all his half-brothers die in an airship accident, he is left as the new emperor of the kingdom. And so on the one hand, he has to deal with suddenly being emperor when he was never prepared for that. And on the other hand, he finds out that the airship accident might not have been an accident, and so he has to find out what was going on there. Now, the reason why I didn't like this, but once again, I'm gonna keep it short because I will also have a full review of this, as I have of all of my body reads. I mean, I still have to film the review for the body read of June, but then my current backlog for reviews is like 6 or 7 books long, so whatever. Anyway, the reason why I did not like this is because I just did not connect to the characters at all. Also, for some reason, I don't know why, maybe because of the books that this tends to be compared to, for some reason I thought this would be quite a romance-heavy fantasy book, which it was not at all whatsoever. There's like not even a little bit of romance in there. Then, as I said, I didn't care about the characters, and while this is a political fantasy, I just thought it was a really badly done political fantasy, because the things tend to happen like this and you don't really get to go into the politics. And also, this is a standalone, and for a standalone there's just way too many plot threads within the politics and way too many intrigues going on, so you don't really have the time to set up the single intrigues, and so like there was just a lot going on. Also, I found the writing really stuffy and pretentious. Didn't like it whatsoever, so yeah, 2.5 stars for this one. And then the last 2 books I read in July, both were from the same series, and I read Serpentine as well as Sucker Punch from the Anita Blake Vampire Hunter series by Laurel K. Hamilton. These are books 26 and 27 in the series, and I pulled the series from my series TBR jar at the beginning of July, so I continued on with it. I just really kind of enjoyed Serpentine in a very, you know, trashy Anita Blake way, because Anita Blake, the series, is not good. There's like frequently kind of very iffy descriptions. There's frequent biphobia. There's some kind of racist descriptions of quite a few characters. And it's also just, generally speaking, not a good series, not a well-written series. However, I have been reading the series since I was 14, and it's kind of my guilty pleasure trash series. So yeah, just do not recommend the series whatsoever, but also I just can't help myself. So I just kind of enjoyed Serpentine once again, because it was just the good side of trashy Anita Blake. So I ended up reading Sucker Punch right away after that, which is on the bad side of trashy of the Anita Blake series. So Sucker Punch I gave 2.5 stars, Serpentine I gave 3 stars. And so also I should tell you what the series is about, although I have been talking about the series a lot this year, I feel like, because I've read quite a few of the more recent releases. But the Anita Blake Vampire Hunter series basically starts out as a supernatural paranormal procedural series. You have Anita Blake, who is a vampire hunter on the one hand, so she hunts vampires once they have been deemed a threat to society. She also is an animator, so she raises zombies and she helps the police with supernatural crimes. Also, everything is set within our world, but there's vampires and zombies and werewolves and so on, which, you know, it's kind of like True Blood, where all the creatures have come out of the dark and they now live among humans. What I find interesting about this series at this point, I mean, first of all, for some reason, I think the author has a problem with politically correct language, because there's quite a few digs made at that, and I was not really comfortable with that. But on the other hand, like, a few books ago, I think the author discovered therapy, so she's just been hyping therapy a lot for the past 5 or 6 books, I think. Which, you know, in another series wouldn't be few books, but in a 28 book series, that's a few books. So, you know, there's a lot of talk about therapy and going to therapy and so on. And then I think, which is kind of funny, because the beginning of the series, Anita Blake was like really homophobic. and especially really lesbophobic. But I feel like the author might have discovered that she is bisexual, possibly, because for the past few books, not necessarily all that well done, but for the past few books, Anita Blake has been discovering and, you know, exploring her bisexuality. And yeah, it's really interesting, kind of cute sometimes, but on the other hand, it tends to also sometimes be kind of biphobic, because then there tend to be, I've talked about that before, there tend to be comments like, oh, he is 100% bisexual, meaning he absolutely has no preference between men or women, which of course is not how bisexuality works. I mean, you have some bisexuals who genuinely don't have preferences, but you're still bisexual if you do have a preference, and you're still 100% bisexual if you do have a preference. So yeah, anyway, but then also in Sucker Punch there was some things in terms of plot that I did not like the direction it was going in. So yeah, but can't really talk about that because, as I said, 27th book in a series. So yeah, that was my bad reading month for July. And so if you have any thoughts on any of the books I talked about, or if you have differing opinions from me, leave them in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, maybe think about giving me a thumbs up and also maybe subscribing. All the links to my social media, as well as I said, to my book club, will be linked down below, so go and check those out, and I hope I'll see you soon. Bye!